Thanks for joining me on DocTalk today. It's going to be a great show. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here from Kansas State University. Our guest today will be Dr. Chris Reinhardt. We're going to discuss body condition scores in cows in your herd and understand that when we have negative body condition scores, how that can affect production. Thanks for joining us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doc.
Folks, Dr. Chris Reinhardt, he is the Extension Feedlot Specialist here for the state of Kansas. He is a ruminant nutritionist and a professor over in the College of Agriculture, the Department of Animal Sciences and Industry, and we're going to talk about nutrition of cows and specifically some of the things that can go wrong, some of the things that can go right, and then the tools to measure it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's jump into it. We use body condition score, folks. You've been through, I don't know how many wet labs to determine the finish on the cows or fat cattle or different things to that nature, but we can use it as a tool also to gauge some things that are going right or going wrong within the cow herd.
Exactly. It's a really effective tool. It's very low tech, very easy for ranchers to assess, but yet it's really valuable in determining the nutritional status of your cow herd.
Right. So what are some of the things, not necessarily just jumping into the body condition scores, but if we don't have proper nutrition, what are some of the things that can be economically crippling to a cow-calf producer?
Well, I like to break things down. You taught me years ago, big rocks, little rocks, and sand. And one of the biggest rocks in terms of nutrition, in terms of making sure that cow stays productive year-round, year after year, is her energy status. Obviously, protein, minerals, vitamin, nutrition, all very, very important. But if that cow is starving to death, the right mineral balance isn't going to help at all. And so energy is really the first thing, the big rock, the really important thing we've got to take care of, especially going into fall, winter months. We've got to make sure she's got enough energy to get through the winter.
Right. And so when we start to go out there and use body condition score, obviously that is something that's going to tell us where these animals are heading into the winter nutritionally. Exactly.
And again, it's about energy. We've got to meet the other nutrient demands, but the first thing that's going to fall off, if that cow calves in a very thin body condition, lacking energy, her body is just going to say, you don't need to cycle back. You've got to take care of yourself and maybe build a little milk for the calf that was just born. And reproduction is going to be the first thing to fall apart, and that cow's not going to be ready to breed back.
So we can tell in October, November, when we're in there preg checking, that if we don't have the proper nutritional status of our herd, it's not that we're not going to have calves hit the ground, because those calves are going to be born, but it's whether or not that cow will have the ability to lactate and take care of it, but then will she be able to rebreed?
Exactly, and we need to step back and look at this as a holistic event. We're looking at it year on year, year after year, and to keep that cow productive, we've got to start taking care of her long before that calf hits the ground.
Perfect. Well, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about body condition scores, how we determine different body condition scores in cows, and then in the later segments, how we can correct some of the things if we notice that something's not right. Dr. Chris Reinhardt, Dr. Dan Thomson from Kansas State University, back after these messages.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
This segment is brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. We're over here at Kansas State University where we are talking today about body condition scores. And so let's just jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about the body condition score system and how it's derived.
Good idea. Normally we consider body condition score system for beef cows is a 9-point scale with 1 through 9, and 1 being
Emaciated.
completely emaciated, barely able to walk. Hopefully you never have to see one of those. 9 being yield grade 5, kind of obese, barely able to walk also. You'll probably never see one of those out on the ranch either. Realistically, we're normally talking kind of 3 to 7 is what we'll see commonly on ranches throughout the U.S. really. And so 3 being a cow that's just too thin. She's noticeably thin. We can see virtually all of her ribs. We can see her backbone in detail. She's lost all the muscling throughout her shoulder and her round. She's just very, very thin. She can still motivate. She can still probably have a calf, maybe even a healthy calf, but everything else is going to drop off and suffer. Move up to a 4. We can see most of her ribs, but we can see most of the muscle structure of her round. So she's thin, she's carrying no excess fat whatsoever, but she's thin and she's under condition. We move up to a 5. 5 is our target. That's where we'd like to see our cows at the time of calving. We can maybe still see a rib or two, maybe vaguely make out the backbone, but we can see that she's carrying just a little bit of body condition, especially going into winter. But at calving time, if we know that she's still got just a little bit of fat at time of calving, she's healthy and she's going to be able to cycle. As we move fatter than that into the 6s, that cow, we really can't even see the muscle anymore. She's just covered with just a thin layer of fat. Very healthy cow, not unproductive whatsoever. She was just probably more efficient than the rest at converting feed. Once you move into a 7, you're wasting energy, you're wasting feed, and she's got fat deposits around the tailhead in the brisket, and that's probably over-conditioned for what we want.
And we have, when we say the body condition score 6, 7, and 8, it's funny to me when I see some of the bull catalogs. We feed these bulls up to body condition score 8 for a picture, but nobody ever turns body condition score 8 bulls out. And so it really gets back to what is our industry, what are some of our goals, but I think that's about as good a description, folks, as you're going to get going between that 3 and 6 or 7 and understanding, and that sets the framework then for what we're going to talk about as far as adjustments, right?
Exactly. The body condition score, I say it's the closest thing we've got to a dipstick for checking on the energy status to that cow. Simply looking at her for a few seconds gives you the answer.
And when you're out there and you're having your cows pregged, most veterinarians are pretty good at body condition score. While they're palpating the cow, they're over the top of that back. They can tell you what they're seeing and body condition score. When we come back, we'll talk more about some of the things you can do to correct body condition score for the winter. You're watching DocTalk, and we'll be back in just a minute.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. And I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio and gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new VetGun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The VetGun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML VetCap is used with the VetGun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. VetGun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
Good morning, I'm Matt Perrier from Eureka, Kansas. My family owns and operates Dale Banks Angus, which is in the southern Flint Hills of Kansas. We've had Angus cattle for 112 years. In 1904, my great-great-grandfather purchased his first Angus cows, and we've raised registered Angus cattle ever since. We've seen a variety of changes in that breed, and we've seen the power of Angus throughout the decades add profit to the commercial cow-calf segment, which is what our goal is to do. Some of the biggest strengths that the Angus breed have are the Certified Angus Beef Program, which is one of the first branded beef programs that was ever introduced in the mid-70s. It has added value to Angus genetics, and it's increased and improved the demand and the interest in beef nationwide and worldwide, really. In addition to the Certified Angus Beef Program, our Angus Genetics Incorporated, the breed improvement arm of our association, has enabled us as breeders and our customers as commercial cow-calf producers to find the genetics that are the most profitable, find the genetics that allow them to add performance or add fertility or whatever it is that their herd may need, and find genetics that can help them do that. So those two powerful programs as part of the American Angus Association have enabled us as seed stock producers and as an industry to grow profit within our business.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Hello, Nels Lindberg here from Production Animal Consultation and Animal Medical Center out of Great Bend, Kansas, here with your BQA Tip of the Day. Oftentimes with BQA, we think about needles, how we give products, animal welfare, safety, things like that, but BQA is anything from the tip of the needle or the needle all the way to the office to all the people in between. So we need to think about all those things in between, and it doesn't always mean the animal, but people and how we manage them and deal with those things. So be thinking about that. It's always a challenge. It seems to be the biggest challenge of most operations in managing people, leading people. We prefer to lead them, not manage them. So from here forward, give those things some thought, how you lead your people, and keep at it.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fall is the best time to fertilize cool season lawns such as fescue or bluegrass. Fertilome Lawn Food Plus Iron is the best product available, formulated specifically for the Midwest.
It also contains iron and other micronutrients necessary for the greenest lawn in your neighborhood. Bring in a soil sample for a free pH test while you wait. We'll see you at Jackson's.
Our entire stock of shrubs, roses, berries, perennials, and trees are now on sale at 25% off.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt, who is a ruminant nutritionist and professor over in animal science and industries. He is our state extension specialist for beef cattle, all things beef cattle, and a good friend and colleague. We're talking about body condition scores, and the one thing when we left, we got the 3 through 7. So now I walk out there and I've got some 3s. What do I need to do? Or some 4s? What are some things that you're putting into the program as my nutritionist or consultant?
The thing a rancher needs to think about when he sees 3s and 4s, when he starts counting ribs and can see all the bone structure, is that is at best a late breeder this summer or this breeding season, and at worst she winds up being such a late breeder that she falls out and she's open at the end of breeding season. And so that's how we need to think in terms of also health of the calf, quality of colostrum, all of those things. But you need to see that thin cow as a cost and a potential loss to the operation.
Absolutely. So I see the issues, but I need to correct the issues. Are they correctable? Definitely.
And so there's different management systems you may employ. The one I'd like, if possible, if you have the kind of facilities, is to take those cows and separate them out and feed those differently than the cows that are at a 5 or even a 6. Those cows, the 5s and 6s, don't need extra nutrition. But for some reason, the 3s and the 4s didn't do as well this summer as the rest of the herd, and maybe as well as they did in the past. If they're young cows, that means they're still growing. Part of their energy every day is going to frame growth and muscle. If they're old cows, maybe it is time to consider moving them on to greener pastures. But for now, we've got them bred. Let's get another calf out of them and then make another decision next spring. And so yeah, the ideal would be to separate them out, get them the nutrition, the energy, protein, et cetera, that they require. That's different than those really fleshy cows.
I thought Dr. Boggs used to say in our beef production classes, you buy your cows to match your environment, and you buy your bulls to match your market. And so thinking about that some of those 3s, if you have some 5s and 6s, and you have some 3s and 4s, maybe these 3s and 4s aren't quite a match for your environment too, as you think long term for your herd. But how much weight? I mean, if I want to go from a body condition score 4 to a 5, how much weight do I need to put on those cows?
Nice, easy round figuring, about 100 pounds.
Okay, so about 100 pounds per body condition score, and NRC has what, 7%?
Just over
7% is a body condition score. So you have to be thinking about that. If you have smaller cows or bigger cows, you can put it on a percentage basis, but a good round figure is 100 pounds, and you think what it takes. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Exactly, and that's why I use 100 pounds is if I could get a cow to gain a pound a day, in addition to growing that calf, maintaining herself, a pound a day over winter, you've done something.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So when we come back, we're going to talk about and wrap up body condition scores here with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. You're watching DocTalk. Thanks for joining us.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net. This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Kathleen Morris is the 5th generation of a Texas ranching family, and her mother is a veterinarian, so it was natural for her to choose a career in veterinary medicine. Her main interests are in equine dentistry and podiatry, but she also loves working with small ruminants and livestock. After graduation, she will spend the summer working in Alberta, and then return to Texas to work full-time in a mixed practice.
If you're searching for bulls that offer genetic flexibility, then come to the Dale Banks Angus Bull Sale, Saturday, November 19th near Eureka, Kansas. Selling 140 bulls that have spent their lives in rough Flint Hills pastures. For 112 years, the Perriers have been focused on providing hard-working, balanced trait bulls for progressive cattlemen nationwide. Make plans to join us on November 19th or bid online at liveauctions.tv. Call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. We're at Kansas State University. Both of us work in beef cattle production and beef cattle production medicine, and we travel the state and the countryside working with you and on your ranches and in your feedlots. Glad to do it. Glad to have Dr. Reinhardt on the show talking body condition scores. And Chris, when we get to that point, you know, we left saying, you know, this isn't going to happen overnight. But the earlier you can recognize it, the better. And what do we do if we can't separate, if we don't have the facilities to separate the cows?
If you can't separate the cows, you already know there's a divergence in your genetics. The cows that have an ability to make do on very little, and then there's other cows that are harder keepers. And so you've got to make a decision. If these are the kind of genetics I really do want to keep in the herd, well, you're going to have to feed them, and that may mean feeding the entire herd better quality hay, find some better hay, provide some supplementation, protein, energy, etc.
But one of the things is, you know, if we're coming out of a drought or the grass wasn't as good this summer as what we had planned, then you're probably looking at a herd level issue where the normal distribution of body condition scores, and now we're trying to move that herd to a place. Obviously there's some cows that are going to get overfinished, but we've got to have a few of those overfinished. I'd rather have a couple of overfinished than underfinished cows. When you're making those strategies or decisions, we're probably going to have to supplement, right?
Definitely. We're not going to, if we find a significant number of the herd under condition, we're not going to do that on hay alone.
Yeah, and folks, what you don't understand is, or I didn't understand at the beginning, is if you don't make these adjustments and you don't increase that body condition score, it may not affect you this year. But if you want to have calves on the ground the following year, you really need to be paying attention to that body condition score. It has an impact on immune status. It could have an impact on neonatal calf scours, colostrum quality, all of these things that energy is neither created nor destroyed, and the money's going to come from somewhere.
That's exactly. I'm glad you touched on that, Doc. It's not just about fertility. There's a huge cascade of all the other problems that'll come from having underconditioned cows.
Big time. And so when we start to think about this, you know, what are some of the common supplements that you see being used out there for putting some condition score? What would you use?
Yeah, great point, Doc. As we look around the country, you've got feeds available. Mostly byproduct feeds are often affordable. One thing we want to try to avoid is feeding too much just grain. If hay is your primary feed base over the winter, adding more than a pound or so of actual grain, corn, whatever have you, it's going to cut down the utilization of that forage. So let's look around for byproducts, distillers grains, gluten feed, maybe wheat midds. Some fibrous byproduct feeds would be an excellent energy source.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us today.
It's a good topic.
It's always good to have Dr. Reinhardt on the show. Thanks for watching DocTalk. Be sure you work with your local veterinarian on those body condition scores in your cows. And if you want to know more about what we do at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. Thanks for watching us this morning, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.